Home Depot, being an introvert and you work in a Home Depot or where you work in any job, you know, it's frustrating sometimes when you go to work just to work and you have certain coworkers who always trying to bring you down. Of course, my previous video I talked about how my coworker trying to do something to me, trying, get me to like, rage bait. Trying, he trying to get me to, get me fired or whatever, but I wasn't really having it. I was more like on the quiet side since, like I said in my previous video, I came back on vacation and, I was just pretty chill. I didn't really want to deal with nothing, so I was just like calming and whatever. So I'm just going to talk about overall Home Depot, where I work at, and how, management and everything, and also associates as well. It's pretty crazy right now, the way things are going right now. I have certain coworkers, like, I have a few coworkers that, who would not even try to, like, help you out when you're working, who will not even try to, like, assist you, be like, hey, you need help, anything like that. They're just, like, all quiet, they talk to their peers, they talk to their friends that they know. They also talk to most of my coworkers that they know. And I'm like, sometimes I think to myself, like, how do you get hired sometimes? And as soon as you get hired, you know everybody already. I'll probably assume that, they probably know each other already. But it just baffles me, like, as soon as you just get hired and you come to the department, you already know my coworkers already, which is pretty crazy to me. Because I'm like, how do you know this person already? And I don't even know who you are. I don't even know nothing about you. And which remind I don't really care about, but it's just crazy to me, like, how you already know this person already. But I don't really care much about that. But working with coworkers sometimes, is just frustrating because sometimes you feel like you're trying to work your ass off every day just to go to work. I wake up at 8 o'clock, and then I wake up at 6 o'clock. I try to go to work early. I get to work around 7 o'clock, 7:15, and I work every day. I go to work, do my job, and you just have certain coworkers who are just like, they don't really care. They don't want to work. They just want to walk around, be on your phone, talk to their peers and all that kind of stuff. And it makes me think like, yo, why am I putting my heart and soul into this job right here where people just don't really care? Back then when I first started, my first year, my second year, third year, and also my fourth year when I was still working there, everything was calm. Everybody was working hard. Everybody was determined to work hard. Everybody was working for their money. Everybody was just hustling to do their job. Nowadays, it's just like the management is like don't care. They only care about the numbers. The numbers is the only thing that makes the store happy, I guess. So that's what makes them happy. That's the only thing they care about. The numbers is then that's it. We don't really. They don't even like us to. They don't even want us to, like, pack out some stuff, and which I don't like, because why do I have to wait 5 hours, 5 or 4 hours to start packing out? We have to stop. As soon as I go to work at 8 o'clock, I have to. We usually have to pack out a little bit to like 10 o'clock, and then once it's 10 o'clock, we don't have to pack out no more. Just like customer service, like 2 o'clock, which is ridiculous. Since you have to stand walking around the whole store just to assist customers, which is baffling to me, and which I don't understand. The only thing I could think about is just the numbers, and that's it. Which is crazy, which is crazy to think about. And that's them. That's good for them. That's what they want to do. Then that's good for them. But in terms of me, I feel like coworkers, like, even when it comes to like once it's past 2 o'clock when we're trying to work, and everybody wants to just like walk away. They don't want to work. They don't want to bring down cash, nothing like that. It's only a few of us who actually want to work, who actually get some money. So it's like, it's frustrating that you have to deal with certain people that who put up with this shit every day. And I'm not the type of person like tell you what you gotta do. Like, as soon as you get this job, this is your most of them I'm pretty sure this is your first job. So I'm not the type of person like, to tell people what to do. When you get hired, when you come to they'll be like, hey Joshua, can you teach this girl, teach this guy, what we gotta do? I could do that. I'll help you out. I'll talk to you and stuff like that. But after that, if you don't want to put in the work, I'm not gonna, stress you out. I'm not gonna, talk to you or anything like that. I'm not your supervisor. I'm not your, department supervisor. I'm not your department head or anything like that. So it's up to you to do your job. If you don't want to do your job, then I don't know what to do. And for me personally, it's just frustrating to see that I have to deal with this. I have to deal with this every single time that this goes on. Our sister's not working. They go to the break room, they sit down for hours. They go in the lunchroom, they just relax, take an hour lunch or whatever, and that's it. Sit down. Like, we don't even have our. We don't. There are times that we don't even have our supervisors or anything like that, and they'll just go and sit down with their peers and just talk, and that's it. They don't really care. They'll look at you and be like, hey, whatever. I don't care about this guy. And they're just so jealous sometimes because I could just tell like the way they look at me sometimes, and to see that I work and I just ignore them, it kind of like brings a fire out of them, which I just don't understand. Like, how are you working at Home Depot? And this also goes to, the management as well. The management is just awful. Like, the hiring system right now is just terrible. I know 4 years ago when I first started, everything was looking great. Now everything is like they'll just hire anybody. They don't really care who you are. They'll just hire anybody to the store, and they don't really care. When it comes to my department, I already have like just me and three other associates who just work. We just work, mind our own business, and that's it. Because if that times that I'll try to like think to myself like, why am I working so hard? And my coworkers are just like standing and just talking, all in the group and just talking and that's it. And I get frustrated because why is that I'm working and you guys are just staying around, and it's like there's no management, no supervisor, no assistant manager to tell you what you gotta do, because nobody's gonna tell you what you gotta do. At the end of the day, they don't, like I said, they only care about the numbers. If the numbers is good, that's all they care about, and it's just really crazy because they don't care about you. They don't care about the associates. They really don't care, and that's something that I also learned like during my during my time at work at Home Depot, where I still working right now. That they don't really care about you. You get to the same point, you could get fired easily. So I'm not the type of person that's gonna like snitch on someone and be like, hey, this guy's not working and stuff like that. Because I'm not gonna snitch on you and tell the manager. I could tell my coworker that you're not working hard, you're not trying to work, you're not doing nothing like that. But I'm not gonna force you to like work. If you don't want to work, that's cool. Go relax, go sit down, go home, go enjoy the weather, go have fun, go get some ice cream or some shit. But it's frustrating. It's frustrating that you gotta do this every single time. I'm just happy that at least for me, I have a good schedule where I start work around 8:30 in the morning, and I leave work around 5 o'clock, and I could get home around like 6:15, 6:20. So that is pretty cool. That's if you have a pretty good schedule at Home Depot, you were damn lucky. But if you're closing, it's like the worst feeling. And the worst days that I usually have is just towards the weekends, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because we don't really do much, especially on Saturday and Sundays. Well, I don't work on Saturdays, so on Sundays it's actually just the worst feeling. We don't really do no back outs, so everybody just like standing talking. We do more customer service on those days. So it's like it gets to a point like I'm just getting frustrated, like why is this going on every single time that I'm here? And people are just like standing talking, there's nobody, trying to talk to you or whatever. I'm not gonna be a boss or whatever and talk to you, man. If I do talk to them, right? If I do talk to them, they're still gonna be forced. They're still gonna look at me like, oh, who's this guy right here? Who you talking to? I know you're not above me. You're not the supervisor, nothing like that. And I'm like, brother, I'll be here longer than you, so I know how the store works. So I'm not about to, if that's how you're gonna take it, that's cool. That's fine by me. I'm gonna just let you know, and I'm gonna just walk away, and that's it. Now, if something happens to you, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you no more. I'm just walk away. Like, you don't listen to me. I don't like when people I don't like when people get in trouble or get sent to the office and imagine talking to you. I just don't like that for some people, because I don't want to see people have to deal with stuff like that, and I don't want to see people feel like I'm a bad person and stuff like that. But at some point, sometimes you gotta learn something. You gotta learn the hard way. Sometimes you gotta learn that if you're not doing your job, then you're gonna get fired easily. And that's certainly is the case. It looks like so for some people right here. It looks like they don't want to really work hard. It makes your job harder when you actually think about it. Because if you go to job and you're trying to work, trying to mind your own business, you're trying to work as a team, and people are just not helping you out. And even if they see you, if they see you work, they're not gonna ask you for help. They're gonna, trying to like, hey, can I help you? Do you need help with this? They're not gonna ask you nothing, but they're just gonna look at you like, oh, whatever, and they're just gonna walk away and talk to their peers, go somewhere else and talk. And it's frustrating. They don't really. Some people just don't understand that, because they feel like they're all about themselves. But at some point when you get older, sometimes when you get older, the older you get, you have to learn to like, what, hey, you gotta try and help people out. Because if you see someone struggling, they need help. Or if they see you struggling and if I see someone struggling, I'm gonna try and ask you for help. But if someone sees me working, they don't be asking for help. So I'm like, at this point, like, what kind of coworkers are you if you guys are gonna do stuff like this? So at this point, I'm just like, you know what? If you guys are gonna be like that, I could play that game too. I'm gonna do my part, my share. I'm gonna do my share of my work, and you guys are closing. So most of the time, I just let them be, because I really don't want to like deal with no drama and anything like that, because it's just kids that just graduated high school and just came to the store and started working. So they're trying to act tough or whatever, which I don't understand, which I don't really care much, but it's frustrating. It's frustrating to deal with shit like that when stuff like this happen. And I mean, as an introvert, you guys know how that feels like sometimes, because it brings you think about you. It makes you think about your job. It makes you think about, yo, is this job worth it? Is this job worth it for the long run? Which I don't really think. I don't see myself working this job for like past 10 years. For 10 years. I've been in this job for like 5 years now. So hopefully I could get this job for this year, and hopefully by next year I definitely hopefully that by next time I'm gonna start. Hopefully I get monetize my channels, and I start getting some, good money on YouTube, which will be good. But apart from that, man, this job is ridiculous now. Now it's ridiculous, being 5 years now, and you see the managers and stuff like that. They don't really care much. They'll be like, hey, can you do this and that, all that kind of stuff. They pick and choose who they want to talk to. They have their own favorites. They give people their own shelf. Good rewards, which I don't even know the last time I even got a good reward. No, I don't even understand. I don't even know when I even got like a freaking Bravo card or got like a Homer award or whatever. Usually give out these little awards around, which shows that you're doing a good job. And I don't even remember the last time I even got that. And it's just shocking that they look at you and be like, all right, whatever, we don't care much about you. Go do something else. Go figure it out, whatever. They don't really care much. At this point, the whole job just don't. The whole job just it's a whole mess right now. They don't, for me personally, the way I see it's like they don't really care much about me. They don't really care much about me. They only care about themselves. People trying to act tough. They try and get close to the management so they get these little promotions and stuff like that, which is just weird to me. Like, you trying so damn hard. You don't want to work. You just want a promotion. You just want to get close to your friends. Just close to your friends like a ASM or ADH or whatever. You also want to try and be like that. It's just ridiculous. All for money. It's crazy. And the people don't do anything for money in my job. It's crazy to see. It's crazy to even say that, but it's crazy. It's ridiculous. But yeah, that's how I feel about my job. And hopefully, like I said, by next year, I hopefully I get monetized by both of my channels, and I start making money on YouTube, because I've been working on this stuff for like 5 years, and I need to try and get a job where I feel happy. I feel motivated to work every day, to go to my job and work. I'm able to reward myself with what I do, because over here it looks like they don't care much about me. They don't care much. They'll look about themselves, it looks like. And find a different job. Make good friends. Make good team who are ready to work hard and ready to enjoy themselves. Because I mean, this job right here is nothing, and it just sucks the way the job is. But it's a good job. It's just the co-workers that make the job a little bit hard for you. The co-workers, your peers in the job, the people around you in the job, try to make the job harder, which is crazy. But it's a good job. Home Depot is Home Depot. I do my best, like I said, go to my job, do my own business, do my job. Go to work, do what I gotta do, and go my lunch, go my break, clear my mind, clear my head. Play some music, and that's it. But overall, actually, I gotta try to find a different job somewhere one day, because this one is definitely not it right now. But like I said, it's a blessing to work at this job, and next chapter is gonna be something different. Hopefully by next year, and that happens. And yeah, that's it. But sometimes it is what it is. You just gotta I just gotta deal with it sometimes, and learn from it, learn from some people. See how people move, and try and level up yourself at times, and you gotta make the best out of it. So it's something. I'm not really complaining much about it, because it feels like I'm actually complaining about it. But if I look at it in the positive way, it's a learning way. I'm growing up as well, so it's good to see how people are reacting. How people are just lazy, trying to work, and people are just trying like scam their way up the top and just get free money, which is crazy to see. But yeah, there are people that I work with that also who work hard and try to earn their money, which is good to see. So yeah, like I said, I just got a pay raise too, so I got a pay raise, so that's something, I guess. So yeah, just blessed, at least it's a job that's keeping me right now. So hopefully the next year I'm gonna try and get a different job and go somewhere else where I feel safe, where I feel appreciated, and I feel like it's a job that's worthy of being a career for me. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this video. Thank you guys for watching, and make sure you guys subscribe, and make sure you guys check out my gaming channel. Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'm gonna catch you guys next time. Peace.